evening, everybody, and welcome to Muse on the News. I am Lisa.
I am Kel.
I'm Molly. I'm Yana.
The girls are back!
No longer are we Lone Rangers. No longer are we reliant on our lovely guests, as glad as we were for them. We are so glad to have you back.
Showing us up for our lack of professionalism, and now you're here to make us feel at home with our unprofessionalism.
We can be silly again.
Did you miss us? Yeah, we're good. We're good as we can be. We are.
We're happy to be back with you, ladies. We have missed you.
Oh,
That's what we wanted to
it's
know.
inevitable, really.
It's inevitable. You must have done something terrible in previous lives to be stuck and lumbered with us.
I know. What did we do?
I don't know what number you are.
Must have been.
As tough as it was, we did watch you because we had a lot of downtime, I should say, where we were self-isolating and stuff. So we definitely watched your shows, and they were brilliant. And so glad you carried on.
17-hour-long show where the rock and roll Rev got his teeth into a subject and wouldn't let it go.
Yeah, we watched it.
We had 2 glasses of fizz before we started, so it was hard to keep him in line. But
we never seen you two so quiet. Literally, you could not get a word in.
No, and me, I couldn't get between the 2 guys and her. I definitely couldn't get a word in. I was kicking her over the table. It's my turn. She wasn't having any of it.
I wasn't.
No, I just had to butt in the end.
Anyway, you can talk over us now.
Good. For anybody who might be new to Muse on the News, this is a show where we each choose a story from the news and we have a little news on it. So we have a little chat and a chin wag and share our opinions with you. So who's first?
Who is first? Where's the list of who's
it's
first?
you, I think.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
Me.
Professional.
Right. Okay. So my story is really in keeping with the theme of LGBT History Month that we've got just finished, actually. No, it's not just finished. It's still this week, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting story that we picked up about a lady. What was her name? Lucia.
Yeah,
Lucia Fitzgerald, and she tells a tale of being almost forced into a lobotomy when she'd admitted to one of her doctors that she was gay. And the fear and the terror and the running from doctors and actually having police chase her and police come to her home to find her, and her pretending that she wasn't herself when she answered the door, and the police basically giving her a little bit of a wink and letting her go. And really, let me just show you some of the pictures in this, because these are beautiful. Look at this stunning woman. She was what did she set up? She set up one of the first women's hostels that were outside London. So she really does deserve a nod, and she deserves to go down in history. But I was really interested in the lobotomy aspect of this. This was the 60s. This was like a minute ago, where they were drilling into people's skulls because of who they fancied. This is insane.
I was completely, I didn't know that actually there were hospitals in Manchester basically using gay people as guinea pigs and trying to corner them in a room and operate on their brains. I had absolutely no idea. It's kind of sold as the swinging 60s, wasn't it? Where anything goes, except if you admit you might like a woman.
I think what shook me up is how she describes when she ended up in hospital in the room, and she kind of looked around and knew what was going to happen, and she just ran for it. I think she might have pushed the doctor out of the way and just run for it and just run, pretty much crying and almost weeing herself and just finding a door to get out. I mean, she must have been scared.
And at 14 or 15, I think, at the time she was homeless on the street after having to leave Ireland, and she was saying that she was asked all these really personal questions about her sex life, and actually being brought up as quite a strict Catholic, she was absolutely appalled at this kind of, and at 14 to be asked these kinds of questions is so intrusive.
But she didn't actually, it sort of transpired that she wasn't entirely sure that what she was feeling wasn't the norm, so she was just answering the questions honestly, and then to be told that you know, she's sick in the head and she needs to have an operation to fix it. That must have been absolutely terrifying. But, you know, the whole lobotomy thing is just, even now, for it to be so recent, and for the medical profession to have collectively believed that this was a good idea to drill into people's frontal lobes to try and, you know, cure various ailments and ills. I mean, what? Really,
really scary, isn't it?
This was the era of the pill. This was the era of, you know, a medical revolution where we were creating all sorts of amazing, wonderful things, cures for polio, and yet they're still trying to drill into people's brains to change them.
Yeah.
And she actually knew people that had lobotomy done to them, and you know, so it did happen. And she was just so happy that
it ruined lives. The Kennedys had a sister, didn't they? A little sister that was lobotomized, then hidden away in an institution for the rest of her life, because it turned her into, you know, basically a locked-in young lady that couldn't, you know, even contribute to her own care, let alone contribute to the world, because they had brain damaged her by, you know, smashing her in the skull with a drill.
Yeah, she lost all cognitive ability. Didn't she?
Yeah.
But I think it's a sad story, but you know, this woman, I just think when you look at her face, you can just see what a true hero she is. You know, you can see the love in her, and I often think that when you look at people's faces, you can tell a lot when you look into people's eyes, and I can just tell that she's a fantastic lady. And you know, I'm really glad that she's had a bit of a spotlight shone on her. You know, for her work that she does. A hero.
Yeah, I mean, that really kind of scared her, didn't it? And actually she went out and she kind of developed that sense of who she was, and she's done so much good, you know, like creating the women's aid shelters and actually helping a lot of people. And really glad that she didn't go through with the lobotomy and managed to escape, and actually managed to benefit so many people's lives after that, and from such a rocky kind of beginning.
Yeah, to be able to turn something that horrific into a positive and you know, change so many lives for the better. You know, what a cracking tip-top bird.
Yeah, well done. She looks amazing. What, 74 now? Fantastic.
I know, really beautiful woman.
We have to reach out to her, see if we can get her to come on an episode. That would be incredible, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
that would be good.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd love that.
She'd love that. She would. She wouldn't feel so left out,
like so
marginalised. Right, what are we moving on to, ladies? What have we got next?
Molly's article is next.
Yes. Molly, do you want to give us a little bit of a preamble about your article while I find it for the viewers?
Absolutely, everyone. So this is a bit of an emotive subject. We are going to discuss suicide. So if it's something that is really affecting you at the moment, you might want to just mute us for a few minutes. But I'm going to try to not make it too depressive and awful, and actually raise some light on the subject, which I think really needs to be spoken about. I also want to say that I don't want to take anything away from men's mental health and suicide rates in men, because that is still a massive issue. In most countries, it still exceeds women's suicide rates. So, but I think it's worth giving this story a little bit of light, because actually we don't often talk about how mental health affects women negatively. A lot of the time they are supporting and juggling families, not exclusively, there are men out there doing it as well, but it definitely is an issue. And I've found this article in Japan, where actually historically they've had a big problem with suicide rates, and especially in men, but for the first time in 11 years it's actually rising in women, and they think that this is down to the COVID pandemic. It's surged 15%, which is massive. And they were doing some figures last October 2020, where they said actually the suicide rate was up 70% in women from the October before. And there were a staggering 879 women that took their lives in 1 month, which I just find is just incredible. And this is affecting women primarily in their 40s. And when you're looking at the history of Japan, there's actually seems to be a change in the traditional roles in Japan, which is why they think that it's that COVID is affecting mental health in women at the moment, because a lot of them that would have traditionally got married and had children and maybe were staying at home, they're actually opting to build a career for themselves and live independently, and maybe not get married and therefore have a house and live for themselves. And a lot of these women are working in quite volatile industries like hospitality and tourism, and these are all the industries that have been hit by COVID, and therefore a lot of them are losing their jobs and therefore losing their homes. And there's a really staggering statistic that says that there were, I think in October alone last year, there were 2,199 people, male and female and everything in between, that lost their life to suicide. And so far in the pandemic, there's, I say only, but 2,087 have lost their life to coronavirus. So actually more people have lost their life to suicide, which I just find absolutely staggering. And I think it's interesting that actually there are women in this country that have stood up and said, you know, I don't necessarily want the traditional way of life. I want that bit of independence as well. And maybe I want a family and a husband or whatever and a wife, but I do want to go out and have a career. And actually now they're kind of being massively affected by this life pandemic. So yeah, I thought it was something that was just worth discussing.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's yeah, I mean, I think the pandemic has increased suicide rates across the world, hasn't it? Particularly in countries that have been hit the hardest. It's definitely had an increase. I know that recently there have been a lot of campaigns focusing on males who complete suicide, because it's what is it, the biggest killer amongst young men 19 to 40, I think, is suicide. Yep. You know, it's quite frightening. So to be able to re-shine that spotlight on the women that are affected, you know, by choosing to die this way, it can only be a good thing to raise it as an issue, I think. Just for clarity, my mum died by suicide, so I've got a personal experience of this, and I think it can only be a good thing for us to shine a spotlight on this as often as possible, and it is a healthy thing for us to talk about this as often as we possibly can, so people are aware that it's not a dirty subject, and it is something we can talk about. It is something we can talk about freely if we feel it, or if we have friends who are experiencing suicidal thoughts. So good article to pick, Molly. Thank you.
Staggering statistics, though, isn't it? I mean, those numbers are just incredibly high.
Yeah.
Very, very high.
Yeah. I think later on it says that actually, and I think this is quite interesting because we've talked before about how women are influenced by social media and those kind of societal norms of how we should present ourselves and dress and makeup and clothes and that. And it's saying that there's some quite well-known celebrities in Japan that have actually completed suicide over the last year or so, and when the media has reported on that, the suicide rate in women has increased every day for 10 days afterwards. And you actually wonder whether the media is actually having part of a role in putting out these stories. It's almost baiting, and actually it's not helping the situation.
The way it's reported, and in this country, I don't know if other countries do it. In this country, we, our press and our journalists, you know, our media personnel basically are all trained on how to handle and deal with reporting of deaths by suicide. And they're all taught which language to use, which language not to use, in order to reduce that risk, because it is that's a constant statistic that suicides do tend to go up when a high-profile person you know, dies by suicide, and when those are heavily reported, rates do tend to go up. So there's a lot of training that occurs. I know the Samaritans do a lot of work with the UK media. I think, you know, it needs looking at, and it needs looking at, you know, where I'm always brought to mind of poor Caroline Flack when, you know, when we discuss things like this, because this is only a year ago Caroline took her life. And, you know, a lot of emotive language was used there, and I don't feel the press were as compassionate as they could have been, and I know that caused a huge drive in the training, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, the coverage at that time was just terrific, I thought.
Yeah,
really, really
definitely.
bad, really bad. But you know, it's interesting that this you know, that this rise is triggered by the pandemic and the effects of the pandemic. And I think I was talking to somebody earlier about the rise in mental health issues. And what we'll have to contend with over the next 5-10 years. I think, you know, I think the impact of the pandemic is huge. You know, people have felt hugely isolated. The economic hardship is a massive issue. And we may not feel it immediately now, but people who haven't been able to pay their mortgages will be having the effects of having their homes taken from them, and all of that is to follow. So I think this country and countries around the world obviously have a lot of work to do in order to ensure that people are kept mentally well.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic.
Well,
Tough subject.
yeah, it is, isn't it? Obviously, I deal with suicide at work a lot, so that always affects me. And if it doesn't affect you, I don't know, are we made of stone? But affects everyone. And there's so much stuff around us with COVID that COVID has brought on us. That like you just see. Even like us who are quite strong women, like stuff we do, we all get affected. So imagine for people that have lost their jobs or have lost their loved one or are just mentally not well. Gosh, it must be so hard for them. So yeah, it's going to take a while to get over what 2020 actually brought us.
I think it will be a couple of decades actually to get over the long-lasting effects of this. There'll be a lot of people. It's not just the knock-on effects of losing your job, is it? Or the bank chase you for a mortgage payment. It's the long-term effects of maybe people that have been isolated and then they come out of isolation. Lockdown ends, and actually the one or two people they had in their lives perhaps have lost their lives to COVID in one way or another. Be that through completing suicide or through the virus itself, or it's got that kind of knock-on effect, and it seems to be the people that were already the worst off in society that are being affected the most by this. It's so cruel.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. I think and we predicted this at the beginning. We were involved in a lot of voluntary work over the course of the pandemic, and it was exactly that. We predicted the people who would suffer most were kind of low-income families, and that definitely played out that way. What I would say is, we've spoken a lot about the silver linings of this pandemic, and I think it has strengthened our communities, and it's strengthened our relationships with people and how we look after one another. And I think that's something that we really need to be mindful of. We can't take our foot off the pedal with that. We have a lot of work to do in our communities. It's very important that we are in contact with the people around us, that we talk to our neighbours, that we keep vigilant, that we look for people who might need an extra helping hand and need that friendship or just a little bit of support. And I think it's a hello in the morning goes a long way, and I think we do a lot to help people's mental health just by being friendly and loving humans to each other.
Absolutely.
And I think people are more to be that way at the moment.
We're currently in self-isolation, as you know, and a couple of neighbours have offered to get us a shopping or anything. It's just so nice. We don't need it. We managed to order some online and stuff, but it just makes you feel so nice that someone's offered and someone actually cares enough, and I know they would go and shop and pick up whatever.
Yeah, people even need to think about.
Let's just hope people remember this, and they remember the people that helped them, and they remember to just, even if it's giving a knock on Dorothy's door down the road just to check she's all right, once a week. The little things that people have been doing down, through this pandemic. Let's all maintain it, and let's maintain the kindness and checking in on each other. And we all know now that we can use this technology to check in on, Auntie Sue, that you don't see one year to the next, you only see at weddings and funerals. We can do that now because we all know how, and we can check in on our nearest and dearest, and
Yeah.
It's important we do. It's important for other people, but it's important for us too. Because actually getting back to having those interactions with people, and actually soon enough, hopefully, we'll be able to have closer contact, and we'll be able to get together more often. And I think we will value those experiences so much more, and I think it will do it for the power of good. So maybe overall, it would have made us a kinder society, and hopefully it does. So fingers crossed. Right. Shall we move on then, ladies? Where are we going? Yana. Do you want to give us a bit of preamble while I find this?
Yeah, I'm afraid this is not going to be much more cheery than what we've already done. It's probably one of these episodes of Muse on the news that isn't a happy one, but we always try to see the light in everything we talk about, and maybe we'll find some light in this. For those who don't know, very recently my mum passed away, and she was in a care home for the last 2.5 years, and as you can imagine, the last 12 months have been horrendous, because of not being able, because I used to fly home quite a lot, 5-6 times a year, and all of a sudden I couldn't do that, but we did manage to fly back home to Slovakia in October, which I am so grateful for, because that unfortunately was the last time I saw Mum. Now I think, and I'm sure care homes do what, you know, the best they can, but I wish there had been a little bit more thought put into the fact that these old people need more interaction, more contact. Well, now, starting 8th of March, when the schools reopen, the care homes also reopen for one visitor or one family visitor. So actually one of the family members can go inside and interact with their loved one, hold their hand. Obviously they have to be tested, they have to wear PPE and all this. But you know, I feel that's something that could have been done earlier. It could have saved a lot of heartache. The testing is available, it's everywhere. There's so much testing kit everywhere. I mean, we've just come back from Slovakia. They testing everywhere, and it's free. There's free testing here as well. And I think old people, that are, especially the ones that are suffering with dementia, like my mum did, and Alzheimer's, and if they lose that social contact, there's just no turning back. And I could see that every week. I spoke to Mum through a video chat. You could just see, you know, she was losing her strength. She was losing her voice. I'd like to think that she still recognized me. I think she did.
Of course she did.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah, you know, it was, I think the voice was one of the biggest things, because there was only, you know, care workers are overstretched. They are doing incredible jobs in really tough circumstances. There had been a little bit more thought put into the fact that these old people need more interaction and more contact. Well, now, starting 8th of March, when the schools reopen, the care homes also reopen for one visitor or one family visitor. So actually one of the family members can go inside and interact with their loved one, even hold their hand. Obviously they have to be tested, they have to wear PPE and all this. But you know, I feel that's something that could have been done earlier. It could have saved a lot of heartache, because the testing is available. It's everywhere. There's so much testing kit everywhere. I mean, we've just come back from Slovakia. They testing everywhere, and it's free. There's free testing here as well. And I think old people that are, especially the ones that are suffering with dementia, like my mum did, and Alzheimer's, and if they lose that social contact, there's just no turning back. And I could see that every week. I spoke to Mum through a video chat. You could just see, you know, she was losing her strength. She was losing her voice. I'd like to think that she still recognized me. I think she did.
She did. Of course she did.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it was, I think the voice was one of the biggest things, because there was only, you know, care workers are overstretched. They are doing incredible jobs in really tough circumstances, and they don't have the time to sit and have full-on conversations, especially, yeah, and they just, she wouldn't talk for hours because nobody could talk to her, and she did struggle with her voice after the strokes, and I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. and you just your walls get smaller, don't they? And you have less to talk about because there's lots of people that can't do very much, and you need someone to talk to. And actually, having family go in actually helps the care workers as well, because it gives them a bit of a break. They can focus on other things. They're still running around like crazy, but they know for an hour you're sat talking to them, giving them a drink, feeding them.
Before COVID, I would go home and I would literally spend my 8-9 days there, literally 5 or 6 hours in the care home, and I would do everything with mum. I would change her, I would feed her, I would wash her, so they didn't have to do anything. So they actually loved me being there. But obviously with COVID, they couldn't let any of us in, and that's fine. Like the care home my mum was in, they were quite quick. They had put up a COVID pod, so you could go and visit that person in the COVID pod. So you had like the screen, and you could not touch them, but you could see them and you could hear them and talk to them. So, but unfortunately, they stopped doing that for some reason. I think they got so scared because COVID got so wild that they stopped even doing that. So we were reduced to the video calls. But what I'm trying to say, with the restrictions being eased off for care homes, if you can, do take that opportunity, because if they're allowing you to go in, being tested, and hold the hand of your mum or your dad or auntie or whoever it is, just do it, because it's well worth it. I feel like I didn't get that opportunity, and I think that will stay with me for a very long time.
It's a fine line between physical and mental. I think we have a friend who works as a manager in a care home, and we spoke to him not so long ago, and he said, we said, how's it been in the home? And he said, well, we've lost a few. And he said, but we haven't lost them to COVID. We've lost them because they've given up, because they're just not seeing their loved ones, and that the effect on the mental health has been far more damaging than they feel that an outbreak of COVID would have been. And that's where was the line there, really? Would it have been better for people to have been able to see their loved ones in a controlled fashion rather than to lock people away? And for particularly older people, it's
very difficult, though, isn't it? I mean, I take everything that you say on board, Jan. I'm heartbroken when I hear stories of care homes across the country who have lost 70% of their residents, and in some cases more, to COVID, because it's got in one way or another. It's a very scary and difficult time, and I don't know. I think that this is a really positive story. I'm so glad that that this is the restrictions are being lifted and that people are allowed back into care homes. We have a childcare business, as you guys know, and we have a partnership with one of our local nursing homes here, and care home, I should say. And we used to visit twice a week. We'd take some of the children in our care. We would we had a play group that we ran there alongside the older people, which was fantastic. And we did a music movement class on a Friday. And that interaction, I know how valuable that was to the ladies and the gentlemen who were
and to the kids, that multi-generational.
Yeah. And to see, you'd see older people who perhaps would be very locked in suddenly, come into life because they're playing with the baby dolls with the kids and stuff. And the loss of that in those environments, I think, is going to be huge as well. But
positive step forward. Hopefully it'll affect lots of families in a positive way, and hopefully for a lot of particularly much older people and people who aren't quite so well, it will make sure that their last months and years on this planet will be a lot nicer than they otherwise would have been if this had not been introduced. So
and to reiterate what Jana said, take that opportunity. If one of your loved ones is in a care home, take that chance now. Go and spend that time, because it's so important and a privilege to be able to have. So.
It's not going to be easy, because I think you can only have one member of a family, and that's difficult, because who do you choose? How do you choose?
But that thing that your mum's home did with the pods and that why couldn't we have done that here? That's
they did an awful lot of through the window visits, didn't they?
That's
and
what we're happening here.
And stuff.
People were being able to walk past the window and wave at their nana. It's not the same.
But practically the same.
It's not the same. It was a drive-by wave, whereas they had a specialist, area where everybody could be warm and dry and comfortable, and
That's the thing. I think it's probably because we had our wonderful mum in a private care home, which here is crazy expensive. It's not cheap in Slovakia, but we wouldn't have had her anywhere else. So it was a private care home, and they had to be spot on with their care, with everything. So that was the first thing they put in. They must have invested thousands of euros into building this pot, because it was heating, lights, the screen, everything. And yeah, some care homes probably can't afford that, I'm afraid.
Come on, our care homes here, they charge $5,000 a week. They can afford to build a little shed with a plastic, with a plexiglass window. I think perhaps the very strict regulations that we've had, that everything's been very, very black and white with our lockdown procedures, hasn't they? And there's, so many of us live in shades of grey, and it would have been nice to have been able to see some thought go into people, people that live in those grey areas, particularly people that are, nearing the end of life for whatever reason, being able to have contact with their loved ones.
That said, I agree with you in lots of ways on that. But that said, I've seen some glorious pictures from the care home that we have our partnership with, and I can see how much time and effort and work the staff have put into making lives of the residents fulfilling and meaningful, and they're doing lots of activities with them every single day. And thank you so much to all the staff who are doing that, because it's invaluable work, and we miss all our ladies and men, don't we? Miss them all. We do. They really do.
We miss you, Sheila.
Yeah.
We definitely shouldn't forget those places that are doing fantastic, and the ones that maybe are struggling. It could be for a whole number of reasons, and we don't want to out you in any negative way. It's really tough, isn't it?
I think it's just trying to do their best, and you've got to have faith that actually people have all the best intentions, and people are working as hard as they possibly can. It's been such a horrendously pressured year, and
we're coming out the other side of it, guys.
We are.
Look at it, and the way it is at the moment, it could be the end of next month that we can have you guys round for a small glass of sherry and a canapé in the garden. That'd be good.
I'm going to cry again.
How much Yana likes a small glass of dry sherry.
It would be nice. Absolutely, I can't wait.
It'll be nice. The weather's getting better. Spring's coming. There are lots of positive. Don't talk to me about the weather when I'm in isolation.
Well, I experienced it for you. I almost put shorts on today.
Wow. Well, I stood at the window and soaked up the heat of the sun through the glass.
I walked into the bedroom. Molly, it's been a funny day today. The moods were all over the place. I am who I am these days, and Molly was just a bit moody today. And then I walked into the bedroom, and she's standing out the window, standing by the window, staring outside like this. And I thought, oh my gosh, you're okay. That was weird. She was like, yeah, I'm just watching the birds and enjoying the sunshine. I thought we need to get out of this house very soon. She's losing it.
It's hard going, but you know what? We have 2 purple tulips in our boxes outside, Molly.
There you go.
Like bulbs, we grew those.
There's bulbs.
You plant.
We buy tulips and try them in the mud. We bought the bulbs, we bought the things, the bits, and we put them in the mud before now. A different time, put them in the mud, and then you're underneath all the other things that are now dead, and now they're
Yay!
Tips.
Wow!
That's it. I can't wait to see some spring bulbs.
Oh, it's all happening. All happening. Yana, thank you for bringing that article. I know that it was a difficult one for you, so thank you. It's an important one to have discussed.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for letting me talk about it, and I'm pleased for people that they're going to get that chance, and take it. It's so important, and it's going to make you feel better. It's going to make your loved one feel better. So it's a good restriction being lifted.
Yes.
Couldn't agree more.
And let's hope it continues to be unrestricted quickly. No, that made no sense. You know what I mean, right?
We know what you mean.
Things get better very soon.
Shut up. Right, okay, it's me next. Move on.
Right, your one, my love.
Right, this is about the beautiful, beautiful Bournemouth Beach. And an article was published today, Tuesday, because we record the day before, about Bournemouth Beach, saying that it ranks 5th best in Europe. How incredible is that? Our little old Bournemouth Beach.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised either. No, it looks beautiful. I've never actually been, but it looks lovely.
It's all right as beaches go. They've got one of those big, hilarious deck chairs to do pictures in.
Oh,
is it number one? Is it number 5 because of cleanliness, or number 5 because they do really good chips? Why
I think it's ranked on all sorts of things.
Oh,
But what I wanted to say is the reason I chose this article is because I think everybody's got a bit of a spring in their step this week. I think news of some of the restrictions being lifted, and look how beautiful is that. Look, it's really gorgeous.
It's full of people though.
Yeah,
these
but soon
pictures
that'll
were
be
taken
okay.
before.
Soon that'll be okay. But yes, I just thought, it's nice to think, isn't it? Nice to think about going to the beach. I haven't been to the beach in so long.
Do you know what is good? The good thing is actually we're not likely to be able to go on a jolly abroad this year, to be fair. And even if Bother says we can do, we probably shouldn't. So it's good to know that we've got some fairly decent beaches a couple of hours drive away.
Yeah. I'm
Decent.
excited to the coast.
The beaches in the UK are incredible. I think I was saying to yourselves, I grew up, on Bournemouth Beach quite a lot. It was the favourite place for my dad to take us, and he now, funny enough, lives in Bournemouth. And all along that stretch, along to Boscombe, funny enough, you're going to go, oh yeah, of course, Molly. The gardens, you've got the beach, and then you've got these gardens like before you get to the town, and it's just gorgeous. They have like a mini golf that I used to play when I was a kid, and they'd have massive
Gardens.
animals like big owls. They were like made like a big owl made out of netting, and then they'd stuff it full of bedding plants, and it would look like a huge owl. And you could do your mini golf, and there'd be a balloon festival, and it was just it's like a holiday away from a holiday in England.
That's so British, isn't it? A balloon festival.
It's the ultimate British location. Like, I probably wouldn't go there on a hot day because it just gets absolutely bombarded with people. But if you go a little bit further along the coast, it's beautiful with the cliff edges, and the sand is just so nice and perfect for sandcastles. Fantastic. Yeah.
I just love I love being near water, but I particularly love the sea. Where I grew up in Dublin, I was very near Dublin Bay, and my family were from Dunleary, and it was just so lovely. And I'm always drawn to the sea. We've been to lovely beaches, haven't we? We go to the Isle of Wight a lot, and there's some gorgeous places in the Isle of Wight. Up and down to Brighton a lot, and Devon, and
the whole of the south coast is fantastic. Yeah.
Well, we've got some beautiful places, haven't we?
Yeah, we really do. But it was getting me when I saw the article, I was getting all excited about the prospect of this potential summer of freedom being en route to us.
Ramming the kids in the car and driving 2 hours whilst having an argument to have some soggy chips on a beach and enjoy the view.
How perfect.
Yeah, have you missed that?
Do you know what? I really have. Really have. It's difficult for everybody. I think that the kids have actually been quite tolerant of it, haven't they? They haven't really whinged too much, but I'm really looking forward to getting out and about with them again, and taking them for an ice cream in the middle of the week, and just doing little things that we haven't been able to do for so long.
Yeah.
Well, so this happens in our lifetime. I've travelled not that much, to be honest, but I have been to Caribbean, and there are some beautiful beaches in Cuba, and we've done Canary Islands, and there were some beautiful beaches, and Greece. But I've got to say, one of my absolute favourite beaches, and I don't know what it's called, but I know it's in Scotland, and it's near Isle of Handa. And it wasn't just the most incredible beach we have ever seen.
It was like just white sand and absolute clear blue water, and you just got to it on a little boat, and you were then on the island until there were enough people to go back, and you could have been in the Caribbean. It was absolutely stunning.
In Scotland, and I will find a picture and I'll send it to you girls. It looked like something out of a Caribbean. It was blue sea, white sand, and we were in Scotland. It was incredible.
You can definitely have amazing holiday. The only thing is, isn't it, in the UK, is we never know when it's going to be a nice sunny day, but if you get a nice sunny day, it's fantastic.
Yeah, we've had quite a lot of UK holidays, haven't we, over the last few years? And we've been mostly lucky. I think there was only once where we had a dodgy one on the Isle of Wight where it rained kind of more than half the week. But
we didn't have the kids with us, so we didn't really mind because we could stay indoors without there being a huge fight. But that being said, we're all from countries with severe seasons, and we're all well used to the phrase "there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing," right?
Exactly. Yana can attest. If we get a bad day, I'll just wrap her up in waterproofs and send her out anyway. I'll give her a nice warm coffee, and we just keep going.
That's it. It'd just be nice to be able to leave the house and not feel like you need to have, documentation to prove that you're going to Sainsbury's. It'd be nice to be able to say, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go for a walk and a coffee and might swing by for a pint on the way home. It'd be nice to be able to do that.
Try, you almost need a bag, don't you, for your sanitizer and your gloves and the bag you're going to put your shopping in and your face mask, and just to walk outside and be free. We kind of took that for granted, like our whole lives.
Yeah, I can't wait to get the face mask. I could not be like so many people have come up to me or go, "All right, Kel from over the road," and I'm like, "Who?" And and I can't recognise people, and you can't see when people. And we know a lady who's deaf, and you're speaking to her, and she's like, "I can't read your lips. I can't read your lips." So you've got to kind of stand right back and take your mask away so she can lip read you. And it's like the impact just of the mask, isn't it? I can't wait to ditch them. I know it's very but I can't wait to not have half my face covered all the time.
Yeah, do you know, I don't have
people and have that physical contact again, and just be tactile with people. I'm a really touchy-feely person, and to not have I do obviously give lots of
the other half gets it a lot more, don't they? Even more than before, just because you can't do it to anybody else.
Yeah. Whereas usually, she just goes up to strangers in the street and says, "Oh, hi, it's nice to see you."
My God.
Those strangers are very happy now. Or very sad.
You're with Lisa.
I don't do that.
Do you know that a little bit of dreaming is all right?
If I meet somebody and I automatically give them a cuddle, and and it's just just the way I've been, and I feel so weird not doing that, and I think it's going to feel strange again being able to do that, but I cannot wait, and I hope we will do that again. I hope we haven't been conditioned out of that.
Yeah, I hope that too.
We didn't know that we're allowed to hug with our social bubble, and we found out like 10 months later that we're allowed to hug.
That was a good day, but it was still weird.
We didn't know.
It feels strange though, because we have been sort of drummed into us for the last year that people are contagious and we shouldn't go near them, we shouldn't touch them. Yeah, exactly. And you should be scared of everything they touch. So, and actually, a social bubble should be like one household, and it is somebody that you see a lot more in that. But actually, they are still just another family that do go about their own business as well, and they are still coming into contact with things.
We were being cautious.
So there's always a risk. But yeah, it's a strange thing, and I hope once we break that barrier, we'll then get back to hugging everybody that we're allowed to hug. Because
I think there'll be so many hugs. People you don't even like will be coming up to you and hugging you. We need that. We need that contact, don't we?
It releases those endorphins, doesn't it, and kind of relaxes you. When there's someone upset in front of you, no amount of words is the same as a hug.
Get away from me, you diseased fool. Stand 2 meters away and tell me why you're crying through your mask. Sicko. It's
very hard.
It's not
very
kind.
Hard. No. But going back to the beach and the potential for staycations, I'm totally up for that. And I think now more than ever, we need to be supporting our tourism here because, oh my gosh, they've had such a big loss over the last 12 months. And
I know, I do agree. But, the kind hoteliers in Rome have also suffered terribly through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We've got 2 lists going. The staycation that we can do this year, and Jana bought me National Trust membership, so that's kind of, flick through the book and stop.
Yeah, no, well done.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
I thought it was very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is another list, which is where to go in the world when we're allowed,
We've got that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like we might be able to do like a self-catering thing for Lisa's birthday, because was it 21st or 21st is her birthday and 26th lockdown, or that sort of easing. So it looks like we might be able to go away, like rent a little cottage somewhere and go away for a dirty weekend somewhere. Just get out.
That would be lovely. Yeah, you guys really haven't been anywhere, so I really hope.
Why dirty though? I mean, are they not going to have showers where you go?
No, camping.
Anyway, but I'm yearning to get back to Ireland. That's kind of first on my personal list. But Kelly's also owed a big holiday for her birthday. So.
That's true.
First.
We have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, I've only got my sisters, so I want to get back and see her and her kitties.
Yeah, meet the baby we still haven't met yet, who's not a baby anymore. He's like, he's got a car and a degree in that now. Walking around.
When we had a few drinks over the intranet the other day, you also invited my sister to Ireland, so don't forget that.
Yeah. Well, she's welcome. We'll have to do it.
Yeah, we're all going to go together.
Yeah,
she's already got her bags packed. Don't you worry.
No. Oh, great. Right. Okay. So, yay for Bournemouth Beach. Well done. And look forward to getting down to the coast really, really soon.
Absolutely.
Jana, one.
We've done a surprise for you.
Oh.
Now, listen, at Pride in Surrey, there's no expense spared. At LGBTQ plus online, there's no expense spared. There's no time spared. There's no effort too much for making sure that our shows are of the utmost quality and almost, professional broadcast level that could actually be screened on a cable network.
Goes without saying.
So we've had some professionals put you together some credits for what is actually ultimately the most popular segment of this whole show. So
excited.
What else we can say except play you this to make you feel special.
Word of the week, word of the week, word of the week.
What did you think? Were you blown away? Want it again? Go again.
Word of the week, word of the week, word of the week.
You love it, don't you?
Is that your voices in the background singing it?
No. It's Adele and
Paloma Faith.
Oh, good choice.
Can you do that again then?
Yes. Ready?
Word of the week, word of the week, word of the week.
That's so not Paloma Faith and
That's
amazing.
Unusual because she's been having a lot of fags lockdown and that,
Word of the week, word of the week, word of the week.
It's Irish, sounds Irish. Word of the week, word of the week, word of the week. It sounds so Irish. Sorry.
What's your word of the week then?
Oh, right. Molly says she doesn't know it.
Well, I've got a feeling I know like a variant of it.
At the moment, it's all about these weird words that are coming to my head. And this one I really like. It's beautiful. I think it sounds beautiful. And it is nebula.
Oh, yes. Nebula. Nice.
Nebula.
I like it.
Do you like it?
Onomatopoeia.
Yes. Sounds melodical.
Nebula.
Mellifluous.
I've had 2 vodkas on the
She's had 3 vodkas.
You know what it is, nebula?
See, I would have said it different. Nebula is what I would have said. Nebula. I'm not very good at pronouncing words.
It's nebula.
Oh, so it is. I take it back. Not that I ever doubted you.
It's spelled
Anyway.
Nebula. It's nebula, and it is any. Pardon? Still saying
No, it's okay. I think I heard you wrong the first time. It's
Nebula.
a strong accent.
So nebula with a strong accent means any of numerous clouds of gas or dust in interstellar space.
Yes.
I like that.
I just like the sound of it,
I watched a lot of Star Trek with my dad, and they were often talking about nebula.
There you go. The second meaning is galaxy, especially a galaxy other than the Milky Way.
That's really
Now you
nice.
can say 2 different types of chocolate to 2 women that are on diets following a very successful Christmas.
Very, very successful. I don't know. It just sounds beautiful to me, and anything out there in the space for me right now is my mum just watching over me. So I thought it was a beautiful word.
Good word.
It is a beautiful word, and actually, it's a good name for a goat.
Yeah.
I give up.
You always take it in a very strange direction. Ben.
She names her plants weird names.
I would love a goat, so I'm going to put that name on the list.
You should.
Yeah,
Nebula.
she's going to call me a Nebula.
Yeah.
I'm going to put
Okay.
AKA Cal in brackets.
Thanks. There's nothing. I love the idea of you stood like on a back stoop, wearing odd wellies, shaking a galvanized bucket with some feed in, shouting Nebula into the ether while a goat ignores you from the other end of your plot, and Yana staring at you from the lounge, saying, "Shut up! What are you doing? Why can't we get rid of that goat?
No, she be going.
Let's make a
What is
curry
she
with it."
doing now? What is she doing?
Yeah,
Nebula.
You're a strange one. You are.
this is going to happen. I can see our life.
Yeah.
This is
You're gonna
it. When
weird
you get
goat.
full holding,
Yeah, I'm
you're
going
going to
to.
have your goats after clouds and galaxies. Like the Nimbus is a good name for a goat.
Nimbus.
Yep.
Nimbus.
Nimbus is a type of cloud formation, which is where I thought this was going, which is similar because it says numerous clouds of
I thought
gases.
Graham.
Graham.
Graham is. Sorry, was that any of your family? Because I don't want to insult anyone.
No.
Really don't like that name.
Well,
It's just
a
so-
nice goat.
Oh,
Graham. Graham.
Do you know
Come here,
what
it's
else is a
dinner
good
time.
goat?
Tarquin.
No. Duck's name. Ian.
No. X.
Precisely
No,
why
no,
Frank
no.
was not called Trevor.
Frank should be called Trevor.
No.
Yeah. Go with Frank,
And-
much better.
We could go all day talking about good names for goats.
Yeah, we could. Is everyone enjoying our talk about names for goats?
You know what, we'll have to check. We'll have to do some new credits for goat name of the week, and we can make that a regular segment.
I
No.
love
Ben.
that idea. I can.
Roland,
Lisa's like, no.
Oh, great idea. And I, what?
this is what the viewers want.
Tell
This
us.
is what the
Is that what you
podcast, you don't
want, guys?
understand.
Comment below if you'd like us to do a regular feature discussing goat name of the week. It's
Yeah.
very easy for us to fit
Or-
into the show.
Or we could do a regular feature about a story submitted from a viewer. So if you would like us to discuss a story of your choice, please do send it by email to
My idea is better, but you can submit it to online@prideinsurrey.org. And when you're submitting your stories for us, please send us a link if you can. If not, just sort of direct us with the website that you've seen it on. And also, can you please, in block capitals, in a large font, tell us what your favourite name for a goat would be, and we'll use it in our news segment.
She's really serious about it. It's fantastic. I love it. Also, can I just say,
we'll go for that next week.
Yana likes it.
Anyway,
yes,
right.
I-
If you managed to stay the 52nd minute of this broadcast, well done. You deserve a medal. And girls, are you frozen? No, you're back with us.
We could have a goat of the week where we have an image of a new goat, and when the goat of the week comes on, we name him. Or the
Sounds-
viewers name
Well,
him.
such a lovely welcome back.
we do.
Yeah, well, it's lovely to have you back, but I think it's all gone a bit awry, isn't it? We've all gone a
It
bit
has.
too heavy because we're so excited.
We're too excited. Next week, normal, craziness will resume.
No, in all seriousness, thank you. As you know, I was worried about coming back on, and I kind of wanted it to be how it always is, but it was nice for it to be a little bit more serious. And obviously, we ended up on a bit of fun, which I do love, because you guys always make me laugh, and I really appreciate it. But it was important for me to talk about what we talked about, and I'm just glad I'm back. And yeah, I can do it. I can do it now.
You can do it.
I can maybe even do a cook along. I'll do it.
You can
Wow.
do it. There's been no tofu or lentils for 3 weeks now, and
That's not good enough.
you're getting twitchy, Yana. So come along with your tofu and lentil casserole for next week, and all will be right with the world.
There you go.
I might just make a goat curry.
with
Oh.
Simon, with Nebula, the goat.
Lisa's going to turn us off any second now. Watch.
Yeah, I'm almost at that point. But I did just
Thanks,
want to say
ladies.
that when people tune in, what you see is what you get, and actually you get the reality of our lives. And yeah, it might have been a little bit different to our usual ones this evening, but we do always try and find a positive aspect to all the stories that we cover. And yeah, you know, we love you girls, and we're here for you always. And we are so glad that you are back with us. So glad.
Oh, we love you two girls, and we're happy to be back with you. Thank you. Yay.
Nice.
We will see you next week.
Yeah,
See you next
week. Back again next week. Right.
And everyone, viewers, get thinking of those goat names.
Send your stories.
Put your answers on stuff. We've got an envelope too.
Oh, and listen, you know what? We've covered some really heavy topics this evening, actually, and we're well aware that actually it may have stirred some emotions in you. And if you would like to reach out and get some support, then please do that. You can text us, and we will signpost you to the correct sources of support for you. So,
Yes.
a little tip
Here
for you.
is our friend Stephen K. Amos to tell you more.
Hi guys, I'm Stephen K. Amos and welcome to Pride in Surrey for, of course, LGBT History Month. Now, I've got to say, folks, if you are in lockdown and you're struggling or you are alone, sometimes it's easier just to reach out and talk to somebody or just send a text. Text talk to 88440. You are not alone. It's Pride, isn't it? Pride Surrey. Reach out.
Confidential service powered by Pride in Surrey. Text are charged at your standard rate. Terms and conditions apply.
Right.
He's amazing. That's amazing. He's such a gent. Lovely. Great guy.
Right. Thanks for watching, and we will see you all next week. Bye all.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.